Welcome back to Story Mode. It's 2010 and I'm a stay-at-home dad. I'm minding my beautiful baby boy who would have been about 6-7 months old at the time. And the thing I'm finding is, although Mandy's fulfilled at work, at home when Luke's sleeping, which was a lot, I've got nothing to do. I've got all these video games, probably more video games than anyone else in the world. But I don't know what to do with them all. I can only play so many at a time. I needed to do something to share my love of video games with the rest of the world. I think I'm gonna have to start up a YouTube channel. Welcome back to 2010, and this is a time I really did not like the music.
She Michael Jackson bad.
He say I'm bad, he right, and yes, of course we do.
Oh, cause that's my plans. Like the way you walking it.
Yep, that music is just not me. Luckily, I found a new band in Goldfrapp. And also, luckily for me, Jamiroquai released a new album.
Stuck on the road with you again, baby. I'm not gonna give up on all the days I know I won. There's nothing but blue sky.
Well, it's August 2010, and when I'm not looking after Luke and when he's asleep, I need to occupy my mind. Now, I had a little bit of a business going on where I would buy and sell cars. And believe me, I was buying and selling a lot. I started out with a couple of $1,000 BMW, fix that up, then I'd move on to another car and then another car, and then I'd build myself up. Unfortunately, it got out of hand. I had my good friend Stan the man, helping me out, helping me locate cars, and he would teach me the tricks of the trade. To buy cars cheap, maybe a bit damaged, fix them up, I'd fix them up myself, and then sell them for a pretty tidy profit. After selling about probably 15 cars, I ended up settling on the Porsche. And this all started with a measly $2,000. Now I'm finished with cars, I started to move on to arcade machines, and at this time they were still very cheap. I bought a Space Harrier, an Outrun, a Power Drift, and 2 Afterburners. One of them was even given to me. Yep, I just couldn't stay away from arcade machines. I know they're gonna give me heartache, but I needed to get through it. I miss them way too much. And I think this time, if I could set up my garage as a little arcade amusement place, maybe a smaller version of Flashback, yeah, I could get through it. I could repair them and make them brand new again. Externally and internally with all the electronics. Everything was fitting into place. You see, I would mind Luke in the day, play with him, talk to him, give him all the activity, and then he'd be tired, put him to bed, and I'd have easily 5 hours up my sleeve, and this is where I'd put it into my arcade machines, spray them, fix them up, make them work again. Everything was working perfectly. There were a few issues. I had so many arcades I couldn't even store them, and some, unfortunately, had to live out in the rain. I know, I'm ashamed as well. So it's October 2010 and I want to start up a YouTube channel. Hey, if other people can do it, why can't I? I have a lot of knowledge in video games, whether it be arcade, pinball, console obviously, computer, Japanese. You know, I'm very versatile, so why shouldn't I have a voice? Why shouldn't I also show my collection of video games, not to brag, but to share amongst the community? And well, with the inspiration of Angry Video Game Nerd, I go ahead and do it. Now, what am I going to call myself? Am I going to call myself something that reminds me of Star Wars?
Don't be too proud of this technological terror you've constructed.
Something that reminds me of video games. Maybe something that reminds me of James Bond. That's it. I'm going to call myself Quantum Gamer. Yes, that is actually what I called myself to begin with. Quantum Gamer. That was actually the channel's name. Now I had to sign in and become a part of YouTube and, make up an email address and everything. There was quite a lot to it. I can't remember exactly, but I remember calling myself Quantum Gamer. So I rang up my friend Alex and asked him, what do you think of the name? And he wasn't over the moon with the name. He didn't like it, so I rang Jess up. And she was working at Game Traders at the time, and I asked her, well, Jess, what do you think? Do you think of Quantum Game? And she wasn't even sure about it. And I thought, well, if they're not sure about it, maybe the rest of the world won't like it either. So I started thinking throughout the day, and I started thinking about, well, I need to name it after games, that's for sure. But what am I going to name it? I'm not going to call myself Sega Gamer. I love all consoles, even though Sega's my favourite. I like everything. So I decided to go to my favourite game of all time, The Last Ninja. That's it. Last Gamer. That's it. It became apparent that Last Gamer just felt right. In fact, I cannot think of a time where it didn't sound right. It just sounded perfect to me because I also feel like I'm the last of my generation who's so crazy over these games. But did I find out later on there are other people just as crazy as me? Yes, I did. So Last Gamer started becoming the name around my house. Yep, let's do it. So we opened up the channel Last Gamer. Now I had no videos. Mandy went by and picked up a little Sanyo camera for me. It's a little red camera. I think it was capable of 720p. And at the time, high definition was the last thing on my mind. So I got the camera and, well, how am I even going to do this? How am I going to film it? I needed someone to maybe help me, and Alex was going to become that person. But Alex is very, very private. He didn't want to be on camera. In fact, he just wanted to be behind the camera. But Alex wasn't going to come over until Friday, and this was around Tuesday. So I wanted to put a video up online just to let people know, hey, I'm here. So I decided to make the video myself, and this is the first Last Gamer video ever. Yep, that's the first one until Alex got there on the Friday, and you know what we decided to do? We wanted to make a review. In fact, that's all Last Gamer was ever going to be. We were going to review games, in fact, series of games. But before Alex got there Friday, on Thursday night, I started fiddling around with the camera and setting up the room. You see, this is just a spare room where I'd put a TV, a few consoles, and I'd have a bit of a display behind me. And I didn't want to show off too much of my collection, not at this stage anyway. And when Alex got there Friday, boy, did the difficulty start then. 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. Hello, welcome to The Last Gamer. I am The Last Gamer. And you are for watching this, the first game. Yep, at this stage we were just doing audio tests to see if it was too echoey in the room and colour tests at the same time.
Welcome to The Last Gamer. Hey-oh! Lukey!
And while we were doing this, Luke started to find his voice. After around 5 hours of filming, it was night time, and this is where the light looked a little bit better. We should have just shut the blinds in the first place. And it was actually looking quite good. Now I had to work out my personality, how I was going to come across on camera. I didn't know if I was going to be a 1, being mild and slow and calm, or 10, being crazy me.
Okay. I'm going to talk about this game. And it's probably about level 2. I'm going to talk about this game. It's probably level 4. When I talk about this game,
I wanted to let loose, but I think I settled on a level 3 or 4. Then we started mucking around with camera angles and then filming an intro. We needed some type of intro for the review.
see? They want you to buy the Mega Drive and the CD and then this RAM card on top. Hi, welcome to the first episode of The Last Gamer. We're going to be looking at one of my favourite all-time games. What's that game? Afterburner. Also known as Afterburner 2.
There were 2 major problems. The first one, I was completely nervous. And the second one is I had no direction, no script. I didn't have anything.
Maybe we should have a notepad up and give me bullet points.
Sure.
Yeah, can you do that?
There was actually a third one, my hair. It looked like a mullet. In fact, it probably was a mullet. At this point, we decided to stop filming it and come back next week once I've had a haircut and once we've composed ourselves a little bit better. But in the meantime, we actually released a little trailer online letting everyone know there's an Afterburner review coming.
With the game's popularity as it was even in the hit to...
Now I've had a haircut, I feel better. We've even got a loose script up on a board behind the camera. And we had a t-shirt made up that Alex actually designed. And we got it for free because we made a bit of a deal with the t-shirt manufacturing that will advertise them and give them a credit.
The Afterburner soundtrack. No, not just on CD, but on vinyl. Yep, on vinyl. Cut. What do you think of that?
Things were going really well. I had good flow going. We had no interruptions. Luke was asleep and then...
Oh, you Welcome to the first episode of The Last Gamer. I'm going to talk about one of my favourite games of all time, Afterburner. Made by the legendary Yu Suzuki. See, there's too many pauses there. Just that'll do for colour test.
Yeah.
Well, we did all we could, but now it was time to actually get this thing on film. And Alex would edit all of it. He would mix the music and everything. And then we finally had a finished episode. And here it is.
Hi, welcome to the first episode of The Last Gamer. I've always wanted to do video game reviews for a long time, considering my large collection of games. So why not start with my favourite game of all time, Afterburner. What I've got in my hand here is the arcade PCB. Now back in 1987, even Taito, Konami and Capcom couldn't equal the power of this one board. known as X-Board, which has two 16-bit chips, a host of EEPROMs, and custom Sega chips, which in its time was worth the tens of thousands of dollars. With the game's popularity as it is, it was even featured in the hit blockbuster Terminator 2. As you can see here, John Connor playing it in the arcade as the T-1000's after him.
Hey, do you know this guy? Nah, I don't know. John, not now, not now.
Okay, if there's one thing I love about this game, it's the music. The music has to be the best part of the game. I love the game that much, but I even own the soundtrack on vinyl. Unfortunately, I haven't got a record player to play it, but I don't think I want to play this baby. Okay, let's get this show on the road. The first version we're going to look at is the Sega Master System version. This is the first version of Afterburner I owned, and it's an 8-bit version. So, we can't expect much from the graphics. However, the sound's not too bad, and actually looking, the graphics aren't too bad also. Now in this version you've only got machine gun and missile. There's no throttle, and it sounds a bit weird to have a game called Afterburner with no afterburners. Now basically, you fly around an F-14 Thundercat, going from stage to stage. Yes, that's right, there's no Tomcat. Due to copyright, Sega could not use that name. Now in the Master System version you also fight large planes at the end of every 5th or 6th stage, depending on where you are in the game. The other problem with the Master System version, the stages are way too long, some of them taking 4 minutes to complete, compared to the arcade with 30 seconds. Okay, let's move on to the Commodore 64 version. Eesh, this version's pretty bad. There's about there's 4 colours. As you can see, this is one of the worst conversions of an arcade game the 64 has produced. Not only can you not make out the missiles coming towards you, but you can barely aim a lock-on target on the planes. The ground and sky, you can't even make them out. The other problem is it has to load every single stage, and then when you've used all your lives to go back to stage 1, you've got to flip the cassette, rewind it, press play to reload, and then start the game again. Quite annoying. Okay, let's look to the Commodore 64's big brother, the Commodore Amiga. This cannot let me down. Alright, now this is what I'm talking about. At least it looks like the arcade. Now this version that I'm reviewing is the American version, Afterburner USA it's also known as. Now this is actually quite good. It is a little bit jerky, but the music's not too bad. Only 4-channel sound, so what more can you expect? Don't mind this version. We're not going to cover all the versions of Afterburner. We're going to leave out the Spectrum, the Amstrad, the Sharp 68000, the FM Towns, the PC Engine, and the NES, which wasn't licensed from Sega, and Tengen made it. Yes, it was on Nintendo. A Sega product on Nintendo back in 1988. Okay, let's look at the Mega Drive version. Now this is Sega's baby. The Mega Drive version was known to be one of the best versions of Afterburner for its time. 16-bit graphics, stereo sound, what more could you want? However, the sound was poorly sampled compared to the arcade. One, it wasn't in stereo, it was sampled in mono. However, the graphics were a little bit bland, lacking the finer details of the arcade. All in all, quite a good game. Playability definitely there. Not too bad. And instead of looking at the 32X, we're going straight to the Sega Saturn. A lot smoother than 32X, and look, arcade perfect. The Saturn, one of the most underrated consoles in video game history, is phenomenal. Afterburner looks, sounds and plays like the arcade. It is phenomenal. This has to be hands down the best conversion on the home console. If you don't own a Sega Saturn, go out and buy one now just for this game. This game is phenomenal. I can't believe it. Finally, an arcade perfect version of Afterburner. Where's it been? Look at all the other versions. They're crap in comparison. Now, the best thing Sega could have done is release this flight stick. Mainly used for Afterburner, but it's also used for Space Harrier. It's used for other games as well. You've got your guns, missiles up the top, you use your throttle on the buttons. Not only that, you can undo these screws and move the stick to the left or the right hand side. So it's quite good. Now we're going to the next generation, Afterburner on the PlayStation 2 with its Emotion engine. And this has to be good. Looks okay. Oh no. Yep, it's crap. Look at it. It moves like... Oh, this is frustrating. It's way too quick. Look at it. It moves so poorly. The missiles look garbage. The plane looks out of proportion. And the way the missiles come to you, it's like they're homing on you. No, this gets the thumbs down. PlayStation, you are a good console. Sega should not have gone ahead and made this on PlayStation. They should have just left it alone. Okay, let's look at Afterburner Climax on the PSN and the Xbox Live. Now this version's pretty sweet. Actually, this version is awesome. Came out on the arcade originally in 2006 on the Lindbergh system. Never thought it'd go to console, and guess what? Lo and behold, it's downloadable content, and it is amazing. Now this is what I call arcade perfect. In fact, better than arcade perfect. It's high definition and widescreen. Okay, so this about wraps up the home consoles. So what can top this?
So they're the home versions of Afterburner. And now the moment you've all been waiting for. The deluxe Afterburner arcade machine. Now this gets me excited.
Well, that's it. As you can imagine, the momentum of myself was high. Mandy was loving it. I'm minding my son and not neglecting him. While he's asleep, I'm making Last Gamer. It wasn't hard. Did I have any idea of what I was getting into? No, I didn't want to do it for money. I wanted to do it for the love of the community. And in 2011, did I learn a lot.